Ja, herzlich willkommen zur neuen Ausgabe SI Talk und ich bin bei TerraX. Stuart ist bei mir und ich muss sagen, ich habe einen Conflict of Interest, bin Aktionär des Unternehmens und ja, es ist ein Update von der Company. Sie können sich vielleicht noch erinnern, letztes Mal habe ich gesagt, oder letztes Mal haben wir eigentlich auch gesagt, es ist mehr eine Execution Story und nicht eine Exploration Story. Und schauen wir mal, was so ja die letzten Monate gemacht habe. Das letzte Interview war ungefähr im Jänner. Stuart, thank you. Do you have time? I must say it in my German introduction, I say it in the English introduction too, that I have a conflict of interest. I'm a shareholder. We are hopefully both on the same side.
I'm a shareholder too, so no conflict with me.
This is an update, and the last time I think we do it in January. So the main question is, and last time we talked about it, that this TerraX is for me more an execution story than not an exploration story. It's for me not a question that you have something. It's a question how you bring everything together.
Yep.
So and this means drilling, land packages, and this kind of stuff. So what's happened in January and now?
Okay, what's happened is since we last met was that we got a drill permit for the South Belt area of the property. We got that towards the end of January, and we had planned to drill a lot of meters in the winter. We did get it in January, took about we had to put the roads in, the ice roads. We only got 6 holes in before the melt, and we had to get all the equipment out, but we got 6 holes into new structures at the South Belt. We're pretty excited about that.
You have results from the 6 drills?
No, well, don't have the assays, because that's what you mean, okay. Not a resource. You got to get ahead of yourself. We got to come up with some assays first.
First, not a resource, that's for sure, but some results.
No, we don't. Well, that was done at the end of the program, and which we finished up around the first part of April, and we're waiting for all the results back now. Okay. So we put out half the results.
The core looks good.
It looks good. You know, it's mineralized. The structures are there. We don't know the grade. You know, and that's the thing with gold is we got to wait for the assays. So we try not to get too excited and ahead of ourselves.
But you know you're in the right stuff. And normally it should something in, but you don't know how high.
Well, yeah, I guess I don't want to be. I mean, the big thing is we drill on structure. We're hitting the structures. That's good. Okay,
that's the point.
That's
you
exactly
see
right.
You're now on the right way. So it's
exactly.
a question what it's in. That's not. At this time we cannot say.
No, and we wish we'd done. Well, we were hoping we'd be able to do more holes, but not a big deal. We'll be back drilling that in July when we start up again with the summer program. So we we began a 15,000 meter program, which we did complete in 2 months with 4 drill rigs, which was pretty impressive. I looked back in 2016 and we did 17,500 meters the whole year. So in 2 months in the winter, we did just under 15,000. So we still have 21 holes, about 7,500 meters of drilling to announce from the project area. That includes South Belt, includes Sam Otto, includes some other exploration targets that we wanted to take a shot at, which is kind of exciting to do because, as you remember, Miss Pickle, our big discovery last year, that was sort of a, hey, let's take a shot at this with 4 holes, and it turned out fantastic. So discoveries can always get the market excited and change the whole game. So we've got more results coming from the program. From the first results in the program, we had a zone, a Dave's Pond zone, where we drilled and we hit some high-grade structures there. We tested them over 400 kilometers of strike and down dip about 150 meters in depth. And it's right beside the Sam Otto zone, which is a large bulk tonnage area, which we also drilled this winter, and we're expecting the results back shortly from 11 holes. That's part of the 21 holes we're waiting for. I guess the other big news since we last talked was that 1st of February we announced that the work we'd done over the last year, staking ground. So the project area has gone from 129 square kilometers and 23 kilometers of strike on the favorable geology to 418 square kilometers and 45 kilometers of strike. The additional strike we picked up was to the east of the our main project area on the sort of on the other side of the break. In these camps, there's the break. You know, the mafic volcanics on one side, the felsics and the sediments on the other side. Where you want to be is within close proximity of the break. So now we have basically everything along both sides of the break. And Miss Pickle was in the sediments, so that's why that area is very prospective. And we did a lot more research, and we found there's some past-producing mines in the area in the East Belt, which you see in the maps on our property. And so there are gold occurrences there. There was one mine discovery which was just north of where we are in the sediments, and they mined 1 million tons at an average grade of an ounce a ton. So this can be pretty good.
But this was in the very early days.
Early days, years ago. I'm not sure the exact date of the discovery mine, but the point being is the sediments near the break host gold. You know, have a track record of hosting gold. So we've acquired, like, what that effectively does is we were a district before with 129 square kilometers. Now we've really tied the whole district up, you know, which makes this a very attractive land package.
But on some point you come to the point that you say, okay, we make the decision, we focus now more on this area that we can confirm a resource.
Oh yeah.
So
we're doing that. We're doing that. But what you got to remember too is for this to be attractive for any company, if a company wants to be in business for the long term, they got to find where to start, which is what we're doing at North Belt. You know, probably, and that's where our initial resources will come from, is North Belt. South Belt is like another development area down the road. This other area, Eastman, is for more development down the road. That's for the future. Because what happens for any mining company, because a company in production, such as the majors, which make a habit of gobbling up little guys like us, they want to know they have you know, an area that can produce gold for many years to come. So to leave the prospector's ground out there for somebody else doesn't make sense. It's like if you could go and tie up Manhattan, you'd want to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what we've done. So we might build a building, one little spot there in Manhattan, but we want to know we have all Manhattan. I mean, as an analogy. So the land position is important. We're not going to go and drill all over the place. We're going to do the work that we need to do on it to sort of identify targets and maintain the ground, because these are claims. When you stake claims in Canada, you have to file work each year or bank work to use against prior years, or they take the claims back. That's how some of the ground that we now have, like the South Belt claims, used to be owned by the Con Mine. And that's why we now have them. And another interesting thing, when you look at the map on our website now, you'll see a block of claims under Great Slave Lake. And why did they do that? Well, we didn't do it. The Con Mine did that years ago, because that is the extension of the Campbell Shear. The Con Mine had two main shears, Con Shear, which is where they started, and then they found the Campbell Shear. And out of the 6 million ounces they produced, the Campbell Shear produced 5 million ounces of it. And when they were developing the mine, you'll see their underground workings come sort of right to the edge of South Belt. You know, when they closed down the mine, old mine economics, I mean, they had already drilled the Campbell Shear under the lake, and you know, because they closed the mine down, they weren't filing work, that ground became available. So we didn't reinvent the wheel staking it. They had already staked it. It became available. We restaked it based on the fact that we could see they drilled ore holes in the Campbell Shear. And they actually drilled through our property too, and that's some of the data we're following up, identifying these structures. You know, at South Belt, I guess
you don't have the real data what they before drill, or you have?
We have some of the data. Yeah, but we can't use it because it's not.
No, it's not 4311, but you must. But it's a good.
It helps us in targeting. Exactly right. You know, so we can. So that information became available to us, and as we got our permit for drilling, and we start to target the drills, let's go and find out as much as we can. We went to the Con archives, which are now in the Geoscience Center because the mine's closed. The government wants to keep all that information now, and they're archiving it. So we went, got the data, looked at it, and said, "Wow, we got some great targets here." So we really wanted to put more than 6 holes into South Belt, but we just didn't get to it.
Yeah.
Now, coming back to your observation, I mean, the reason we want this land is that, you know, we want to control, you know, the whole district, like the whole Kirkland Lake or the whole Timmins. Is if all you did was go and find your one mine and start it, like happened at Kirkland Lake, well, everybody else grabs the land, or Val-d'Or, and there's all these mines. We want to own the whole thing because we think that makes us very attractive. You know,
for sure.
You know,
and this is the question in the end. So how long it will take, or what it must be happen that somebody come along and
well, how long it takes, you know, nobody can predict that. We have a business plan, you know, that we're following, which has been followed by other companies that have developed their assets and sold them. I mean, you know, we got to do the work. You know, if somebody said, "Well, gee, it'd be great if you got a buyout tomorrow," well, it's not going to be great because they're not going to offer us much more in a premium to what our stock's trading at. We think we do the work, we build the value, we can get we have an idea in mind, which I'm not allowed to say what I think has worked, but you can look at other companies out there, and once they've developed to a certain level, what people have paid for them. Kamenak, 2.5 million ounces, I'm guessing roughly, or whatever they had. Pre-feasibility study, very advanced, no question. They've done a lot of work, $520 million. Integra, around $500 million. So just a week or two ago now for by Eldorado. I mean, rough numbers, people can check the exact details for themselves, but that's the scope of things and what you're looking at. But to get there, you've got to do the work, and we're at the very early stage. Up until just last year, or 2015, we'd only spent probably a couple of $1 million on the property. That's all we were able to do, financing it through a tough market. So I think right now we're well financed. We've got good backing. We've had 2 new directors join the board from former directors of Caden, which was which was acquired by Agnico Eagle in September 2014 for $205 million. But that's a company with no resource estimate. You know, they had 200 holes. So that was pretty good. I mean, what happens is if you go and you prove up the resource and you do work towards your fees, but the more work you do, the more you get. It's like building a house. You put the foundation in, they'll buy the land and the house from you. You frame it, you put the walls in there, that's a different price. You put gold-plated fixtures in, it's higher. So, I mean, that's what we need to do. As far as we have a plan, how long is it going to take? I don't know. You know, and...
No, but on the other hand, I think the timing is not bad, especially with this big correction what we saw in the gold market from 2011 to 2016. And I'm a strong believer that we're in a new bull market. Nobody believes really we are now in the second, or we saw the first wave, but I hope the second wave really comes soon. But the good thing is that in the last 5 years, the majors not really buy some other companies, except some examples that we saw in the last few months also. But also the majors sell a lot of things that be more efficient. But the problem is when you do this, when all you diversified, disinvest in the market, and then you see you come in the new boom market, then you're running out of ideas, projects, and so on and so on.
What you point out there is what they want. What they have done is they've divested themselves of individual satellite assets, smaller assets with limited potential. That's what they get rid of. That's why it was so important for us to tie up the whole district, because this is the type of situation where you've got a huge position, you work in this area, you can expand it. Acquisitions that they made in the past, companies have made, is when they've acquired companies right near their main mine site. That improves the economies for them. Small assets don't work for them.
That's interesting. It sounds like a little bit like First Mining. You know, maybe the guys from First Mining, but they acquire in the last 2 years a lot of projects. And one of them is in Ontario, a lot land packages. And they say, yeah, we do it. For us, it's an area play. We have 6, 7 projects with around 3, 4, 5, I don't know what the exact million, but really good thing, and they are all in one central area. So if somebody comes, it's one of the biggest land packages in Ontario, and you get it with one acquisition, and not
that's the point.
With 10, or we're looking at this and that, and then the price going up to the roof. When you buy the first one and then you try the second one, exactly. Going up. So, and that was the key thing. I say, hey, I never saw, so I always believe that you buy assets for him, but I never look at like an area play.
That's the whole point. And you look at Goldcorp with buying Kamenak, they looked at it as the key of an area play for them. And they've gone out and they've invested in other companies in the Yukon, in the area, like Triumph Gold. And you know, they did what's been happening a lot now is the corporates, and I'm thinking of Goldcorp and Agnico in particular, is they've been making an investment in a smaller company to help them explore. And they want to invest in companies that have management teams that know what they're doing, you know, because they don't want to run the exploration programs, but they'll help these companies move along with it. Goldcorp invested in Triumph Gold. They took, I think, around 13%. Agnico invested in Cartier. They invested in a number of other companies, Gold Quest in the Dominican Republic. And for them, that allows them to get their foot in the door on a company. If this project's successful, it's the cheapest they'll ever pay for it. Yeah. And then if it doesn't work out, well, hey, sometimes exploration doesn't work out. Maybe they sell their shares along the way or whatever. When Probe was acquired by Goldcorp a few years ago, Goldcorp owned 10% roughly, and Agnico Eagle owned roughly 10%. And Goldcorp bought it because, hey, it was right in the middle of all their area where their mills were. It made sense for them. Agnico said, okay, well, you're give me a good enough price, you take it. So that made sense the way that worked out. But you got to think of these things. That's why the district is so important.
And for me, it's not only the district, it's also, in general, the area, the land. So, like...
Well, our land is like everybody you talk to, they say, great, you got lots of gold there. Well, where are you going to start? How are you going to do this? Well, we have a plan. We're doing it. We're moving along in a rational manner. We're developing resources, working towards building the resources and putting out a resource estimate at North Belt to start with, because obviously we're very early stage at South Belt. But that'll be where we start with the resource. Then we'll have other areas that can add to it. And this is like Meladine. Meladine's been a very successful project for Agnico Eagle. Meladine was discovered by Joe Campbell. Joe Campbell introduced it to Meladine, did an endowment report for them saying, hey, here's all the different zones here where you can put gold together. We're following that same model, saying, when Agnico bought it, it was 3.3 million ounces indicated. Now they're over 11 million in all the different categories. They've announced they're going to go into production in 2019. When Joe met with them, he said, hey, here's all the different zones. Here's where we got our 3.3, but here's other areas we've tested. We've got drill holes, such as a Mispickle, a Sam Auto. Here's where we can build more ounces. So when you come here, you got lots of ounces. You got enough of a future, you got a future inventory of gold that you can rely upon. So we're doing the same thing here. We're following that plan, and it just takes time. When Joe worked at Meladine, that was 7 years. I know people don't want to hear that it's that long, but you know what? No, it's a matter. If you want to and that stock, that company was bought. Comoplex owned Meladine. Agnico bought them for $700 million. 696.9 to be exact, and then did further work on it. So that's pretty good.
And exploration takes time.
It takes time. You got to be patient, but again, you can have excitement along the way. Where we pull new discovery holes. Mispickle was exciting last year. The more of these you get, and because we think there are going to be more of those out there, the more people can see this is a district. Here's the play. And when you go back and you look at all the information we put out in the past and the sampling, we walk over this property, we sample, we get 1,205 grams a ton at surface, 95 grams a ton at South Bell. It's a gold-rich environment. What you need to do in the exploration is really quantifying, where you get the critical mass of where do you start. So that's what we're working through right now, but we're still building the inventory for the future. And again, you hit the nail on the head with these companies. They're divesting of smaller assets. They're looking to acquire big assets. What there was really on their radar is districts. That's what they want. And where they're making the investments, if you go and look at it with all these different companies, the corporates have been not just Goldcorp and Agnico, but Newmont, their districts. That's what they want. Especially
when Barrick start to buy, then we know maybe we are on the end of the cycle. But this is they have a few years before we have this. Yeah, thank you for the update.
A pleasure.
Es war ein sehr gutes Update von TerraX. Was geht es eigentlich darum? Also Sie haben seit unserem letzten Interview extrem viel Land akquiriert und die letzte Diskussion ist eigentlich nur um die Landakquisition gegangen. Sie haben ungefähr die Landmasse fast verdreifacht, wenn ich das so schnell im Kopf rechne. Und es geht eigentlich darum, dass es immer mehr in die Richtung geht, einen ganzen Distrikt zu haben. Das heißt, die großen Majors, die kaufen nicht mehr nur eine Firma, weil es da ein Projekt gibt, sondern weil sie einfach Explorationspotenzial haben. Dass sie halt von 3 Millionen auf 11 Millionen oder mehr Unzen kommen. Und genauso machen sie es auch. Sie haben halt irgendwo mal angefangen, haben dort auch gebohrt und bauen dort ihre Ressource aus, aber testen andere Gebiete auch gleich, um einem Großen, einem Major da auch zu zeigen, wir haben noch irrsinniges Potenzial, um das Ganze darzustellen. Und deswegen müssen sie das Ganze halt eigentlich auch, oder haben sie das Ganze akquiriert. Und das ist extrem schwierig natürlich, weil natürlich sobald irgendwo einer Gold findet, kommen andere Leute und dann rundherum den ganzen Grund akquirieren. Und sie haben es eigentlich geschafft, dass sie den ganzen District eigentlich mehr oder weniger Kontrolle haben. Und das ist auch genau, sage ich mal, der größte Schutz, dass andere einsteigen in dem Gebiet, aber auch, dass sie am ehesten übernommen wird, weil, wie gesagt, große Companies wollen große Projekte haben, wo sie lange arbeiten können. Was haben Sie jetzt gearbeitet selber? Sie haben im Winterprogramm 15.000 Bohrmeter gebohrt, das ist sehr viel, weil letztes Jahr haben Sie 17,5 gebohrt. Die Ergebnisse sind großteils noch nicht da, vor allem in der Südzone, das eine neue Entdeckung wäre, wissen Sie noch nicht, wie die Ergebnisse ist. Ich habe ihn gefragt, sie sind im richtigen Mineral, aber ob das goldhältig ist, beziehungsweise wie hoch es goldhältig ist, das wissen Sie nicht. Das kommt erst dann dementsprechend bei den Analysen raus. Ja, also für mich hat sich nichts geändert. Es ist eine Execution Story für mich. Man muss halt einfach jetzt das Ganze ausbohren, bis dass man genug Ressourcen hat, bis dass dann irgendein Großer kommt, um das für ein paar 100 Millionen zu übernehmen. Ja. Müssen wir halt ein bisschen warten, aber das kennen wir ja, das ist ja unser täglich Brot. Das war es von TerraX, Mai 2017, Vancouver. Tschüss und Baba.
Thank you.